Pledge. We'll have our newest member, Commissioner McGee, if you'll please lead us in the pledge. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. As I was stating earlier, we are very excited to have two new members of the council and joining us. Commissioner Keone McGee, District 9. Would you like to do a quick, brief intro?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to this board, and thank you to Chairman Diaz and the Board of County Commissioners for giving me this opportunity and this honor to serve with such a distinct body of great people who are here to work on behalf of the great people of the state. I'll keep it very quick. I just want to be a benefit. I want to learn more. I want to be able to contribute to what it is, the overall grand scheme of things that we do here as part of the Regional Planning Council. And I'm just happy to be here this morning, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner McGee. Also, from Monroe County, Mayor Pro Tem Craig Cates. We're excited to have you aboard. Thank you for coming. As everyone knows, that we are a tri-county council, and so we're always excited to see members from the three counties. So if you would like to introduce yourself. Your mic, sorry.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And it's a great honor to represent Monroe County on this board. I'm very happy to be here. I think it's very important that we all work together, especially the impact that Miami and Broward County make on the Florida Keys, and with the projects that are so close, and the traffic and protecting our natural resources. So I'm excited to be here, excited to give our input from the Florida Keys all the way down to Key West. So I'm at the lowest part of it, my district. So I think I can bring some, insight on different issues, and I hope I can make an impact. Thank you.
Great. Well, we're definitely excited to hear your perspective. Our last meeting, we had an amazing meeting down in Monroe County where we learned a lot. There was a great organization, Mayor Codiron, she brought, and they taught us about the great work they're doing to preserve our coral reefs throughout the country. And so it was a great meeting, and we look forward to many more also down in Monroe County.
Mr. Chairman, permission? Just be upfront and ask them where are the lobsters.
We don't give up all the secret spots.
We'll definitely have to tie that into our next meeting in Monroe County, some lobster. In front of you, you should have the agenda for the Southeast Florida Regional Prosperity Institute. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Is there a second? The item has been moved by Senator Geller and seconded by Mayor Codiron. Yes. Yes, we will. Yes.
Point of order, I'm no longer the mayor. I'm simply a wonderful county commissioner again. Just like Broward, we pass the gavel.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So it has been moved by Senator Geller, seconded by Commissioner Codiron. Is there any public comments in the chat, Kathy? Seeing no public comments, please call roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you turn on your mic, please?
I'll start over.
Thank you.
Cates,
Yes.
Coldiron,
Yes.
Corradino, Fur,
Yes, here.
Garcia, Geller,
Yes.
Gilbert, Goldberg, Kaufman,
Yes.
Leonard, McGee,
Yes.
Ross, Udine,
Yes.
Ziotti,
Yes.
Andriotta, Lynn, Mayers,
Here.
Bailey.
Yes.
Sorry, is that when I'm here?
So the agenda is adopted. We'll now move on to our action items. In front of you, you should have minutes from our previous meeting. We only meet pretty much annually. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to
moved.
approve.
Okay, is there a second? The item has been moved by Commissioner Codiron, second by Senator Geller. Are there any public comments in the chat?
As Chair Bailey, Mayor Kava would like to make a statement.
Mayor Kava, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just can't resist coming back. Really, my biggest regret in
Is she
running
coming in
and
virtually?
yes,
And she's unmuted.
Okay. Oh, great. I see you now. Okay, I see the screen now.
thank you very much. So I just am
Mayor
saying
Kava,
that,
you're recognized.
can you not hear me?
Wait, we can't hear you.
Didn't hear any of them.
I'm unmuted on my end.
We see you, but there's no audio.
We hear you.
We hear
And
you.
I
It's on
suspect
their
that there
end.
were other votes that
Yes.
we didn't hear either.
Yes.
We hear you.
Okay, so
They
maybe
have an
it's
idea how
not
we get our-
audible
Yeah.
in the chambers.
Right.
Mayor Kava, quick question for you. Are your comments related to the minutes for this, or did you just have overall comments? Okay, perfect. Let's finish this motion right quick, and then you'll be recognized for your comments. Also, if you voted on the last item, if we didn't catch you, if you're appearing virtually, please put your vote in the chat box so to make sure that you will be accounted for. Kathy, will you please call roll on our minutes?
Kate's,
Yes.
Cold Iron,
Yes.
Corradino, Fur,
Here. Make that a yes.
Garcia, Geller,
Yes.
Gilbert, Goldberg, Hoffman,
Yes.
Leonard, McGee,
Yes.
Ross,
Udine is a yes.
Somebody reached out and.
Ziotti,
Yes.
Yay, there she is. Andriotta, oh, sorry, Bailey.
Yes. Show the minutes are adopted. Before we move on to the next item, we're going to have our executive director to pretty much explain why we're here, because usually we're here for the South Florida Regional Planning Council. We start off today with the Southeast Florida Regional Prosperity Institute meeting, and we just want her to kind of tell a little bit about the organization and like how often we meet, and so you guys can kind of know like what we're doing at the very moment. So
Good
recognized.
morning, council members. The Southeast Florida Regional Prosperity Institute is a 501c3 organization that the council has. It used to be called the Institute for Community Collaboration, and we maintain this nonprofit because it gives us an additional tool when we want to work with different partners. There are some organizations and foundations that cannot give funding to a government organization. So through the 501c3, we are able to partner with them to take on projects of special interest to the council. We meet typically once a year, and that's because right now that it's been pretty sort of steady state, the Institute. So this is our annual meeting. I will also point out that members of the Regional Planning Council are also members of the Institute. So again, it's an additional tool. We've used it quite a bit and look forward to partnering to use it more in the future.
Great. Thank you for that, Isabel. I just wanted
welcome,
our
Chair.
new members to know, like, because they came to the South Florida Regional Planning Council meeting, and then they're sitting here, and then all of a sudden we were talking about the East Florida Regional Prosperity Institute. So I want to make sure that you guys have background of why we're meeting on this item. And so now, Mayor Cava, you're recognized for, you would like to make comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me in the chambers?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I just can't resist coming back as a former chair of this wonderful organization and having spent a lot of wonderful time learning and acting to make sure that we have strong regional leadership. And thank you, Isabel. You've been a strong regional leader. I just want to say that it was maybe one of my biggest regrets becoming mayor that I could no longer serve. So I want to greet my colleagues and also thank the new members of the County Commission, Senator Garcia, Commissioner McGee, for serving ably. I think you'll come to see that this is a place where not only can we work regionally, which is critical to our future, whether it's transportation, education, employment, environment, and water, but it's also a place where we can learn, take some time to really understand the challenges that are facing our region. We're unique, we're special, and working across counties really is the answer. So I just want to say that I'm here together with the mayors of the other counties while they rotate. They're the mayors and the commissions of the other counties. Look forward to continuing to address critical issues, whether it's how we protect our water system, how we integrate our transportation system, how we protect our coral reefs, and so many of these trying issues where leadership has come from this body. So thank you for giving me just a few moments. My intention was to be with you in person in chambers, and for a variety of reasons that did not work out. So virtually, I send my best, and I'll be checking out unless anyone has any questions or comments for me.
Well, thank you, Mayor Cava, for opening up the chambers to the council. And it was a pleasure to serve with you when you were on the council. And we were excited about the work that you're doing in Miami-Dade County. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank
Any
you.
questions
Thank
for
you.
Mayor Cava before? Okay, seeing none, we're on to our next item. We will now have our financial report.
Good morning, council members. We can see on page one, the Southeast Florida Regional Prosperity Institute finished the fiscal year with $41,251 in assets, and same for total liabilities and fund balance. The only expense throughout the fiscal year was the payment of the insurance policy for $1,150. That you can see it on page two, and that's the end of the financial report for the fiscal year. Then we have the balance sheet as of December 31st, 2021. In which we can see no changes to. The total assets also finished at $41,251, as well as liabilities and fund balance.
Thank you, Leo. Are there any questions on the financial report? Are there any in the chat? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Greg Gross.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
The item has been moved and properly seconded. Are there any comments in the chat, Kathy?
Alicia has control of the chat. Alicia, is there any bit in the chat? None.
Okay,
None, thank you.
seeing no comments in the chat, will you please call roll?
Yes.
Turn it on. Coldiron,
Yes.
Corradino? Burr? Burr?
Yes. Yes.
Garcia? Garcia?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Geller?
Yes.
Gilbert? Goldberg? Kaufman?
Yes.
Jordan? McGee?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Udine?
Yes.
Ziotti?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes. Our financial report has been adopted. Just to make sure that we recognize everyone who's here, of course, we can see the members that are here present. Let's just, Kathy, could you just announce the members that are calling virtually? So everyone can know that all the members that are present.
The only reason I continued was just in case someone came in late.
No problem. Thank
But
you.
after this point, I will go on with just those that are virtually present or present.
Okay. Sure. It looks like we have Senator Garcia, Commissioner Furr, Mayor Ziotti, Commissioner Udine, Mayor Udine,
Here.
and who else do we have? Mayor Ross
Commissioner Kaufman?
and Commissioner Kaufman. Perfect. I just wanted for the record to make sure that everyone is reflected who's calling virtually. All right, we're on to program report and activities.
Thank you. We haven't had any program activities this year.
Thank you. Seeing no more,
Question.
sure, Senator Geller, you're recognized.
Yeah, I know we haven't had for a while. Is there, but you believe we should still keep the Prosperity Institute around in case at some point in time we may have? If you can elaborate.
Sure, you recognize.
Thank you.
Isabel.
Yes, actually, Senator Geller, right now, we're actually working with the business community in Broward County. And we're going to be receiving a little bit of funding through the 501c3 to help support the coral reef application that's being prepared. So it's still a useful tool, and I expect that we will expand its use in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Seeing no more business before the Southeast Florida Regional Prosperity Institute, Senator Geller move to be adjourned. Seeing no objection, the meeting is adjourned. And now we're convening our South Florida Regional Planning Council meeting. And it looks like we're gonna have Mayor Kate to lead us in the pledge. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Kathy, will you please call roll?
Mayor, we have to.
Kate's,
Here.
Cold Iron,
Here.
Paradino, Fur,
Here.
Garcia,
Here, present.
Geller, Gilbert, Goldberg, Kaufman,
Here.
Leonard, McGee,
Here.
Ross,
I am here.
Udine,
Still here.
Ziotti,
Me too.
Andriotta, Nguyen,
I'm here.
Mayers,
Here.
Bailey.
Yes, President. We have a quorum. Before you have the agenda, but before we approve it, we're gonna slightly modify it. Mayor Kava has already gave a welcome. And you see Chair Diaz is listed, but he will not be presenting today. Is there a motion to approve the chair to the agenda?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? All right, the item has been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? We now have our agenda. We're gonna move on to action items. In front of you, you should have your minutes from the October 25th and November 8th meetings. Are there any corrections? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve the minutes of those meetings.
Second
by Greg Ross.
There's been a motion to approve our minutes from October 25th and November 8th, and it has been properly seconded. Are there any comments in the chat?
No.
Seeing none, this is one of our action items, so it requires a roll call vote. Kathy, please call roll.
Kate's,
Yes.
Cold Iron,
Yes.
Fur,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Geller,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
McGee. Ross,
Yes.
Udine,
Yes.
Ziotti,
I have a question. Did they have to be motioned separately?
A legal counsel, please provide.
The item is on both minutes. They're being taken as one item, which essentially amounts to a consent item. You're encompassing both items to approve in one motion.
Understood. Yes.
thank you. Bailey,
Yes, we now show our minutes from October 25th and November 8th adopted. We move on to our financial report by our finance director. You recognize.
Well, good morning, everyone, again. If we go on page 1, we can see the general fund finishing December 31st with total assets of $1.6 million, as well as total liabilities on fund balance. The federal, state, and local projects finished the month with $29,527 in assets, and same thing for liabilities on fund balance. The revolving loan funds finished the month with $12,002,583. Same thing for liabilities and fund balance. And the South Florida Regional Prosperity Institute we've already presented with $41,251. On the second page, we can see that the year as of December 31st is at 25% of the year lapsed. Total revenues were at $1.7 million. That's 44% of the budget for the fiscal year. And total expenses were at $13,602 at 33% of the budgeted for the fiscal year. And that's due to some money coming in for the Southeast Florida Community Development Fund that was not expected. And that was already lent, that then will be explained by Jeff in the revolving loan fund. That's it for the financial report.
Are there any questions on our financial report? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve it?
Second,
The item has been moved and probably seconded. Are there any public comments in the chat?
no.
Seeing no comments, Kathy, please call roll.
Kate's,
Yes.
Coldiron,
yes.
Burr,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Geller. Kaufman,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Ross. Ross. Udine,
Yes.
Ziotti,
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes. Show our financial report adopted. We're moving on to our comprehensive plan amendment reviews. We'll have our legal counsel to read each item in the record. If there are any questions, we'll have our senior planner to answer any questions on those items. So you're recognized to read the items.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. For the record, item 4C is the consent comprehensive plan amendment reviews. The proposed amendment reviews references Broward County 2107 ESR, Miami-Dade County 2105 ESR, Miami-Dade County 2106 ESR, the City of Aventura 2102 ESR, City of Coconut Creek 2101 ESRW, the City of Dania Beach 2201 ESR, the Town of Davie 2101 ESR, the City of Doral 2103 ESR, City of Fort Lauderdale 2101 ESR, City of Hialeah 2104 ESR, City of Hollywood 2102 ESR, the City of Homestead 2103 ESR, City of Colony Beach 2101 ACSC, the City of Lauderhill 2102 ESR, City of Miami 2101 ESR, City of Pembroke Pines 2101 ESR, the Village of Pinecrest 2101 ESR, and the City of Tamarack 2102 ESR. The matter for the council, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve? approve our proposed items?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any public comments?
No.
Seeing none, Kathy, please call roll.
Kate's,
Yes.
Cold Iron,
Yes.
Fur,
Yes.
Burr?
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Geller,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Ross. Udine,
Yes.
Ziotti,
yes,
Bailey.
Yes. Sure, the proposed item adopted. We're now on to the adopted item. You're recognized to read the items.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And for the record, it's a public hearing. The adopted items are Broward County 2107 ESR, the City of Hialeah 2101 ESR, City of Hialeah 2103 ESR, City of Lauderdale Lakes 2001 ESR, City of Miramar 2102 ESR, the North Bay Village 2101 ESR, City of North Miami 2102 ESR, City of Parkland 2101 ESR, City of Pompano Beach 2101 ESR, City of South Miami 2101 ESR, the Town of Southwest Ranches 2103 ESR, and the City of Tamarack 2101 ESR. Again, Mr. Chair, this is a public hearing.
And Mr. Chair, at the conclusion of the public hearing, I move adoption.
Thank you, Senator Geller. Are there any public comments, Kathy?
No.
The items have been moved. Is there a second to adopt these items?
Second.
Sure. The item has been moved by Senator Geller, seconded by Commissioner McGee. Kathy, please call roll.
Kate's,
Yes.
Cold Iron,
Yes.
Fur,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Geller,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Ross, Udine,
Yes.
Ziotti,
yes,
and Bailey.
Yes. So those items adopted. We'll now move to the nominated committee report. Each year, the bylaws task the chairman with putting together a committee to create a slate of candidates for the executive committee. We met, I want to say about a couple weeks ago. In front of you, you have the reports for the recommended officers. Senator Geller moving up to chair, Commissioner Kaufman, first vice chair, Commissioner Furr, second vice chair, treasurer, Senator Garcia, secretary, Commissioner Codon, almost at mayor again, and immediate past chair, me. Is there a motion to approve the nominations committee report?
Udine moves the slate.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any public comments?
No, there are no comments.
Thank you. The item has been moved properly seconded. Will Kathy please call roll? Actually, this is not one of our action items. We all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Show our committee, the nominated committee report adopted, and congratulations to the new executive committee members. Welcome aboard. Commissioner Codon, it's so hard to say that. So welcome aboard, and I am.
What's up, Jess? I'm sorry for that. I was just trying to physical thing at the same time.
Sure. I'm excited to pass could someone please mute the virtual participant? I'm excited to pass the gavel to Senator Geller. Thank you. It has been an honor to serve everyone. One of my most important goals was to move around. As you can see, we're here at Miami-Dade County. We got down to Monroe County. And so being a tri-county organization, I thought it was very important to meet where the represent the community that we represent. And so it has been an honor. And I'm looking forward to serving as immediate past chair under your leadership, Senator Geller. So thank you.
Thank you, Mario. I'd like to make some brief remarks. I'd like to thank you for your able service as chair of the SFRPC. Actually, you served as chair right after me and right before me, because I became chair of the SFRPC when Mayor Levine Cava gave up. When she was elected mayor, she had to give up her position as chair of the SFRPC. So as then first vice chair, I moved into the position of chair, but I did not want to be chair of the SFRPC at the same time I was mayor of Broward County for time commitments. So I stepped down, Mario moved up, and I'm taking that position now. Let me say that I've been on the SFRPC now, I think 5 or 6 years. And I have been a forceful advocate for changing the role of the SFRPC. And everyone has heard me say this. Remember, the legislature did away with the main purposes. Since I'm far away from everyone, I'll take this off for a moment. The legislature did away with the main purpose for the South Florida Regional Planning Council. The main purpose was to approve land use changes, which we no longer have the ability to stop. We can now only make comments on them. The purposes of the SFRPC is to serve also to mediate disputes between local governments. But again, we don't do very much of that. And I know I'm too busy, and I think a lot of you are, to just come here and listen to meetings and reports. So what I've long advocated is that the South Florida Regional Planning Council fulfill its role as the set forth in its title, to do regional planning. And I've spoken with Isabel, and obviously this little virus that we're going through has altered our plans a little, but one of the goals that I have for the future, and that I believe the South Florida Regional Planning Council has adopted, is to work as the regional convening authority for regional planning issues. And whether they're water issues or transit issues or affordable housing issues or economic development issues, these are all things that are difficult to do county by county, and we really need a regional approach. And in some cases, we need more even than just the SFRPC, because the tri-county area traditionally has been Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and which have a lot more in common. And Palm Beach is part of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. So we've been now having more joint South Florida Regional Planning Council and Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council meetings so that we can do more of this together. As soon as this damn virus is firmly behind us and we're able to begin doing regional planning conferences, I think that you will see us begin convening what I'd hoped we would have seen a couple of years ago, but COVID changed a lot of plans for a lot of things. I hope that you will see us starting to be the regional convener, as I said, for those types of regional things. It is my hope in the discussion that we have had that we will try, at least initially, to do roughly 3 meetings every 2 years, one roughly every 8 months. And perhaps at some point in time, we can get up to 2 per year, but let's not push it too much to begin with. So I'll leave that to our successors as chair. But it's been a pleasure working with everyone. I look forward to a full year as chair of the South Florida Regional Planning Council. And once again, would like to thank Chair Bailey for his able work as chair. So, oh, yes, and I now have my gavel. And for those of you that saw me as mayor of Broward, I do not hesitate to bang it when necessary. Now, there's 7 of us in the room, so, not going to be necessary, but We now resume with item 5, discussion items. Ms. Cosio Carballo, you're recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings again. So to give a little quick update on the regional activities that we have been involved in, part of it has been through our role as the Economic Development District for South Florida. So over the last few months with Senator Geller as chairs, we have been convening regional business leaders and educational leaders and nonprofit leaders in a conversation about the comprehensive economic development strategy for South Florida. Mark Cassidy is the project lead on that. And we are successfully moving forward with a number of workforce meetings toward developing a new SEDS by September 2022. So we will have at a future meeting a more complete update on that process. Additionally, we are continuing our work with emergency management, and also we have been involved over several months in the development of a proposal to EDA to support restoration of the coral reefs and the development of a blue coral reef industry. We understand that there is a lot of work that can be done in a workforce and an industry that can be developed in coral reef growing and transplanting the reefs. So we have been working with the business community as well as our county partners to put together a proposal to that end. I would like to mention that we are now also, as a future agenda item, but we are moving forward with the military installation resilience review. We will provide a brief update on that and next steps, and additionally followed up with correspondence that is going to come to the counties and our partners. We just selected, the selection committee just selected Jacobs as the lead consultant team working with the South Florida Defense Alliance. And we're looking forward to moving forward with that to develop a contract and hit the ground running on that. So additionally, I would like to mention, for anybody who's out there, talented planners, that we are looking for some resilience and transportation planners at the council. So please, if you're interested, please come to our website to look at that. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or just conclude my comments.
Thank you, Isabel. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? If not, thank you, Ms. Cosio Carballo. My document now says legal counsel report on legal counsel report parentheses Sam Gorin. So Mr. Horwitz, can you give us a legal counsel report on Sam Gorin?
I can, just very briefly, one item of substance, as Ms. Cosio Carballo indicated, the evaluation committee did recently meet in the matter involving the military installation resilience review. We're currently awaiting a draft contract from Jacobs, and we'll work with her team to review that. Regarding Mr. Gorin, as you may know, he's recovering from a minor medical issue. He is okay, he's home, he wishes you all well, and is sorry he's not here himself, but thank you for the consideration.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the legal report? Are there any questions? Showing no questions. Thank you for your report, sir. Council members report. Why don't we begin with the members present in the room, and then we'll go to those present virtually. And we'll start with our new member at the edge of the room. If there's any reports or comments that any of you want to make.
No, since this is my first meeting, I don't have any reports, and I'm just listening to everybody and taking it all in. But I hope to have more involvement in the next meeting.
Thank you, Councilmember Cates. And again, welcome to the SFRPC. Commissioner Clodine.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair. I want to start by thanking outgoing Chair Bailey for the remarkable job you did this past year to conduct meetings that are both Zoom virtual and people in a room is very difficult to do. And you did a wonderful job throughout this entire year. So I just want to say thank you for that. Also, thank you for including this regional outlook, and by having meetings in Monroe County. We truly did love hosting that, and it was nice to see everybody who was able to make it there. So just wanted to start with that. And then just briefly, as we're always looking at how do we improve workforce housing, just to put it on your all's radar, in Monroe County right now, we are working with the cabinet to to get a few additional workforce housing building allocations with a public-private partnership that is going to take place with a private developer who has land in Key West, and he's partnering up with Monroe County Sheriff's Department and our county to build workforce housing specifically for the first responders, the officers. And this is a unique way, again, that in the Florida Keys, we try to work outside of that limited box that we have due to being an area of critical state concern. But just wanted to give you all that update. And, you know, as we all struggle with how we do keep good officers, and then also how we improve workforce housing regionally, this is just a new way in which we're going to try to overcome some of these obstacles. And with that, I yield my time.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, immediate past Chair Bailey.
First, I just want to say I'm really excited about the new members, the new blood on the council, and it's great. And thank you, Miami-Dade County, for opening your doors to us and allowing us to be here. One item that we've talked about a few times, the South Florida Military Installation Resilience Review. I just want to state for the record that I've completely abstained from any of the considerations appointing the committee, just because of appearance of a conflict. And so I know that's going to be on the agenda a little later. But I'm just excited to see Senator Geller, your role as chair, because we've really been talking about how do we make this organization more relevant and actually really focus on regional planning. And so I'm really excited to see, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. And again, thank you for your fine work. Commissioner McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and truly.
Commissioner McGee, I just want to tell you it's a pleasure to see you and be working with you again.
I am excited. I am sitting here like, I'm home. Mr. Chairman, I just want to say thank you and congratulations on your appointment to serve as our leader here and get us back to the original intent of this council. It feels really good. I was over here really clapping myself like, oh my God, it's actually happening. Secondly, to our outgoing chair, thank you so much. Your leadership is without question has been on Front Street, and many folk have actually complimented you on it. And you've shown what true leadership is by listening to others, incorporating your ideas and moving this agenda forward. And Mr. Chairman, I can tell you one of the things that I truly believe that we should look into is a true rail tri-county connectivity agenda. That is something I believe will create a second to none transportation system between the tri-county area. I believe this will also help with our economic development and also assisting with us with environmental issues. So, Mr. Chairman, with that said, I'll close out by simply saying one of the kids I work with on the wrestling mat, he said to me the other day that they have a saying, and it is put me in the game, coach. And so I'll say to you, coach, Mr. Chairman, whenever there's an opportunity, put me in the game, because I would love to make sure that the agenda that you're pushing forward is going to be pushed forward with the vigor and the intent. And if there's anybody who can help you move this agenda, I want to be there for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember McGee, and I will take you up on your offer. Let's now go to the members attending virtually. I see Mayor Ross is actually the face we see right now on our screen, so I'll call on him first.
Well, thank you very much, and I do just want to say thank you for your service, Senator and Chair Geller. Looking forward to the year that's going to come ahead. I'm sure it's going to be as wonderful, if not better, than what we had with Chair Bailey, who I want to thank as well. And it's Mayor Cold Iron, is it not, or is it Commissioner?
Commissioner now.
Commissioner Cold Iron, I believe you were not present at the last meeting, so I guess you were voluntold, and I want to say thank you very much for becoming secretary, and congratulations. And to all the new members, looking forward to working with everyone, because honestly, and I forget who said it, but they're new blood, and it's a succession plan, and it's wonderful. So looking forward to working with everyone. Thank you.
Well, Mayor Ross, again, you were in a fairly unique position of, I believe, being first immediate past chair, then not being immediate past chair, then reverting to again being immediate past chair. So you got a lot of years as immediate past chair.
I got a lot of mileage out of that, yes.
Yes, sir. Senator Garcia.
I'm here, sir. Yes.
Did you have any remarks, sir?
No, sir. I'm good. I apologize for that.
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. And you should be sorry if I come down to see you. Senator Garcia was one of my closest friends in the Senate. I come down and he's not here. Really annoying.
It should be a lesson to all, Republican and Democrats, liking each other, so I hope
yeah.
I hope you're not sitting in my chair.
Oh, is this your chair? Well, I'll have to do something on my way out. We have to go to lunch soon. Let's see. Commissioner Furr.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to thank Mario for a very good year. You kind of spread the wealth around and let us go visit a few other places. And this was a tough year to as Commissioner Coldiron said, trying to do this with Zoom and all this. You had your hands full, but you did it ably, and thank you so much. I do want to thank Commissioner Coldiron for being willing to take this on. I know we as Greg said, voluntold you, but I know you'll be great on this. So I really appreciate it. And I couldn't agree. And it's so good to see the other members of Miami-Dade here, to see some new members. I think it's wonderful, as Commissioner McGee was talking about, ideas about transportation, those things. We need everybody at the table because we can't, it's otherwise we're talking in a vacuum. So having, I think there's new blood here, and I think it's exciting for all of us who've been here a little while. So I look forward to it. And Steve, if we have to put a little pad on that gavel, we might, don't worry. A little pillow right there. We'll see what we can do.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. Let me now go to the person with the gavel now, Mayor Udine.
Thank you, Senator Geller, and welcome back as chair. I know that you'd taken some time while you were mayor, and I see now it's a lot of running and signing and being at different appointments, so I understand why you had to take that time off. Thanks, Mario, for all that you did. I thought that it was an impressive year with some trying circumstances with the half Zoom and partial Zoom. I know it gets complicated on these meetings. I look forward to hopefully seeing the mission of the South Florida Regional Planning Council be met as far as us being more of a regional planning council. I agree with what Senator Geller said. We all hear the same reports many times over on our different boards and our different respective boards. So to just listen to different reports is not anything that really excites me, but I think that we need to be working together as a region. I've said this before at a lot of the meetings I go to. The only people that really care about where the boundary lines are kind of the people that are involved in the politics. Most of our constituents, it doesn't matter to them where the county boundary lines are, where the city boundary lines are, and we need to work together to make it a better user experience for, one of the largest metropolitan regions in the country now in South Florida. We've become a destination of choice from the rest of the country, and with those opportunities, there are a lot of challenges that we're going to have to face, be it in affordable housing, transportation, and the like. And I just look forward to serving with this board and helping to meet those challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Ziotti.
Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. Glad to see you virtually. I wish I could be there in person. I just, as the former newbie, I'm no longer the newest member of the council. Welcome to those that are new to the council. Yes, you will be, what was the term? Voluntold, there you go. And that's okay, because fresh set of eyes and that energy is amazing. So thank you to the newbies. Mario, I've known you, it seems like forever, and you've just always been that go-getter, and you showed it this past year. Obviously, I have nothing to compare it to, but if this coming year is anything like last year, traveling, being able to meet face-to-face virtually, you did a great job. And Senator Geller, Mayor Geller, Mr. Geller. I appreciate everything that you do. I've seen you in action on the commission, on the county commission, so I can only imagine the great things that you will do this coming year on the council. Thank you to all. I wish I could be there in person to see you all, especially you now, Commissioner Goldiron. Just I can't say enough about being on this council. Thank you to all that participate. I really, really appreciate it. And staff, you are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kaufman.
Thank you, Senator Geller. I would echo that the leadership of this organization, I think I've been on the board for 5 or 6 years as well. It's just been outstanding. And Chair Bailey, thank you for everything you did this past year. Senator Geller, thank you for all that you've done and the wonderful things I know we can expect in this coming year. I agree that we need to focus on regional planning, convening regional planning sessions. I would hope, especially on affordable housing, because we've got such a crisis here, severe crisis in the lower Florida Keys and in Key West. And I hope we can do more of what Commissioner Goldiron talked about with regard to the project that is before the legislature in Tallahassee. I want to also thank Commissioner Goldiron for joining the executive committee. It's great to have Monroe County representation, and Commissioner Cates, Mayor Cates, thank you so much for joining our Regional Planning Council. Your input, I know, will be vital for helping us moving forward. That being said, I want to say what a great job council staff has been doing lately. Isabel, you and your team are fantastic with regard to the military installation resilience review, the revolving loan fund group. Amazing job. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I believe, going from memory, that's all of our council members that are attending online virtually. Is that correct? Are there any, if there's any council members that I missed, please, start talking. Not hearing any. All right, that concludes item 5C. We will move into 5D, and we have 20 minutes before we have 2 presentations at a time certain. So we do have, though we'll introduce those 2 speakers at the appropriate time. At this point in time, do we have any ex officio reports from FDOT? Datwin?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
You recognize yourself.
I just wanted to make the announcement again, as you are probably aware, that Governor DeSantis has appointed Tori Alstott to the Broward County Commission. To replace him, they had named Kenyatta Lee, which is the Chief Motor Development, as acting interim chief. The other news is that Secretary Kevin Tebow, the State Secretary of Transportation, has also been recently picked to run the Orlando International Airport. And then lastly, we want to again thank the South Florida Regional Planning Council for your participation in the development of the draft 2022 Strategic Intermodal or SIS Policy Plan. The comment period concluded on January 7th, and we have provided all the comments to the state team. And again, thank you again for distributing those draft plan. The SIS policy plan is now going to be made available to the public in the early 2022. Once it's approved by the secretary, which will be staying on board until the end of session. After the final plan is approved, the next steps will be revisiting the SIS designation criteria and the thresholds. And this is one of the things we talked about with the regional transit, being able to use those funds potentially for the regional transit. So, and then again, refining those project needs and prioritizing the policies. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, let's move on to FDEP, Jason Andreatta. Mr. Andreatta, are you on the line?
Good morning, it's John. Jace was unable to join today. I think we will be in attendance next month, but no reports from us. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there any report from the South Florida Water Management District, possibly Lorraine Mayers?
No report, but I just want to say a warm welcome to all of the new members and a happy new year.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your report. By the way, before I get on to the next item, I neglected to, Commissioner McGee, you had mentioned the regional transit, and you mentioned specifically Tri-Rail. Well, we do actually have Tri-Rail, but obviously I think we're talking about the Coastal Link. I took Brightline down here from Fort Lauderdale. What a wonderful experience. Having said that, I just want everybody to understand that I don't know we're really going to have a unified Dade, Broward, Palm Beach during my tenure in office, and I hope to be serving through 2028. I get one more term. We have 12-year term limits there. There is currently something of an impasse over how to get over, under, around, through the New River. And, you know, the mayor of Fort Lauderdale's position is tunnel or nothing, that he will not support a bridge through Fort Lauderdale, while the position of FDOT and the county appear thus far to be, everybody loves the idea of a bridge, but the most conservative estimate we've seen is $1.5 billion. And none of us know where we would get that money. So though everybody prefers a bridge, I think everybody prefers a bridge. I think we just don't know where we would get that money. And the construction of that will be ongoing for a long time. I assume if they do a tunnel under the river, there have to be environmental impact studies, after we saw what happened in Miami when, you know, did the tunnel to the port. And again, the funding is questionable at best. So, and I will call on you next, Mario. So I just want to let everybody know that right now, none of us see a clear path to to getting the Coastal Link working because of trying to figure out the New River issue. Immediate past, Chair Bailey.
I just wanted to provide a little perspective. While Chair, we work together with the Treasure Coast, who encompasses Palm Beach County and some other counties north of us. And we met with the goal of talking about all the items that really affect us. Each county was supposed to present their maybe one or two items. Our last meeting, we said we will reconvene. It was supposed to be in January to actually come up with some action items, action plans. So hopefully under your leadership, Senator Geller, we'll actually have that meeting that we're supposed to have to create an action plan. So things that we agree on. And transit was one of the items that we began talking about, but we didn't, I think, come to a final solution on it. So hopefully you'll be able to pull that meeting together and we can actually, versus just sitting around discussing an idea, we actually have a plan that we can all unite behind and go forward. Like
we'll work on that. Again, I think that if we're able to resolve the New River issue, then we can resolve the other issues. Believe it or not, that appears to be the single biggest issue, because, you know, if it's $500 million, that's still a lot of money for a bridge, but we can probably find that. I don't know where we find $1.5 billion. And if we're basically told, you know, bridge or nothing, you know, we may be at an impasse there. We're still talking, and we hope that we're not at an impasse, but I just wanted to let everybody know, if it is a tunnel with the environmental impact, because it's going under the river and finding the money, we're talking, you know, at best years and years and years from now. All right, yes. Ms. Carballo, Ms. Cocio Carballo.
Chair Geller, I just wanted to mention, thank you for the reminder. I want to remind everybody that we do have a joint meeting coming up with the Treasure Coast Planning Council on March 18th. And we're hoping to have it be an in-person meeting. This is the time that Treasure Coast is supposed to host. And we had tried as staff to organize that follow-up conversation to our October meeting, but schedules did not align, which is why you and I, Chair Geller, discussed an upcoming conversation that you can have with the Treasure Coast Chair.
Yes, ma'am. I still have that on my calendar. And if I can ask you, if you can coordinate, please, with the Broward County Water Advisory Board and Dr. Harado, because today I received a notice from them that they're also planning a meeting on the 18th, and that I chair both groups. So if you can, please try and coordinate a date with Dr. Harada.
Okay, very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's check we've got 10 minutes before we move into program reports and activities, but maybe would there be any objection to moving first to our speakers? I've seen Mr. Murley waiting patiently. We have 3 speakers today, so let me turn to introduce my document on that. Isabel, can you help me find my introductions? Okay. Here they are, speaker bios. All right. I see. Okay, I see. I have actually first Kevin Guthrie, Director of Florida Department, Division of Emergency Management. Is Mr. Guthrie here? Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm available online, Chairman.
Virtual, very good. I actually was with your immediate predecessor yesterday, Mr. Moskowitz. So let me now recognize Kevin Guthrie. Kevin has more than 30 years of experience in public safety and emergency management in the state of Florida, including 14 years of experience dedicated to emergency management. He spent 23 years as a police officer and served as a public safety and emergency management director for the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners. He then served as the Assistant County Administrator for Public Safety for Pasco County. In this position, he was responsible for all emergency services, fire rescue, and the 9/11 Communication Center departments. In October of 2018, Governor Rick Scott appointed Guthrie as Chief of Staff for the Florida Division of Emergency Management. In January 2019, Governor DeSantis appointed him as Deputy Director of FDEM. Guthrie's primary focus as Deputy Director, including coordinating efforts among all state agencies, counties, and municipalities, and deal with natural and man-made disasters to ensure that all of Florida is prepared and ready to respond. During the state of Florida's COVID-19 response, Guthrie served as the Deputy State Coordinating Officer and the State Emergency Response Team Chief. Guthrie has won numerous awards for his efforts and success in emergency management, including the Chad Reed First Responder Award from Governor Rick Scott and the Presidential Quality Service Award from President Barack Obama. Guthrie holds a Master of Arts in Human Services from Liberty University and a Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice from Columbia College. Guthrie is also a certified master exercise practitioner by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Mr. Guthrie, you certainly sound extremely well prepared and obviously serving as deputy. I'd like to welcome you here to the South Florida Regional Planning Council, and thank you for your remarks, sir. You're recognized.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me all right in the chambers.
We can hear you fine, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. So met with Commissioner Bailey back probably in November or so, and told him about several things that we're rolling out with the Florida Division of Emergency Management that will be coming over the next 18 months. And he certainly reached right out and said, we need to get you in front of the South Florida Regional Planning Council. So this is a culmination effort of his efforts. So wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to let you guys know what's going on in the division. I should be sharing my screen so that you see my PowerPoint. Just want to confirm that.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, so we will get, without further ado, we will get started. So the first thing that we have done here at the division is kind of change our mindset. And we've gone back and looked at our vision statement, our mission statement, and our core values. I want to share them with you very quickly because it's essential to what we're going to be doing here in the near future. So we've actually previously had no vision statement. We only had a mission statement. So we've added a vision statement now that states leading the profession and building safer communities. We're wanting to lead the profession. You know, Florida Division of Emergency Management used to be the tip of the spear when it came to national response as well as Florida's response. And we want to get back to where we are that national creme de la creme, if you will. So that is our vision, is to lead the profession in building that safer community. Perhaps the most significant thing that we have changed is our visions, or I'm sorry, our mission statement. Mission statement was to prepare for, respond to, recover from, mitigate disasters of all types in the state of Florida. And we found that probably really didn't sum up what our mission was. So we met as an executive team and really got into what we do here at the division. We came up with the following mission statement. And again, this is going to drive everything that we do here in the next several years, but it's coordinate, collaborate, and communicate with stakeholders for a resilient Florida. One of the things that you do not see in this mission statement is that it's our job to respond, it's our job to prepare, it's our job to mitigate, it's our job to recover from. Those are actually all of our responsibilities. Those are core to what all emergency management agencies, all the way down to the, actually all the way down to the individual homeowner. So what is our job is, as soon as there is a disaster, the governor, well, let's start with the president. The president designates what's referred to as a federal coordinating officer. The state designates what's referred to as a state coordinating officer. So at the heart of what we do should be coordination. So again, without going into a whole lot of detail, and because I have several slides that I want to get to, fundamental to what we're going to be doing is coordinating, collaborating, and communicating as the division moves forward. For the first time ever, the division, I know this is a very busy slide and I apologize for it. For the first time ever, we now have core values at the Division of Emergency Management. These core values were voted on by our team members as it relates to our vision and mission statements. And this is what they have come up with. And we have actual core value statements that go along with those. I'm not going to read every one of these individually for the purpose of time. We'll certainly make our slide presentation available to you. But at the core values of the agency are now going to be integrity, teamwork, service excellence. I am going to pause on that. I know that we have a lot of mayors on this call, some commissioners. I spent a lot of time with Senator Garcia at the Surfside tragedy. I think those that know me through Jared Moskowitz or know me independently know that service, customer service, is something that has certainly escaped certain state agencies. And I will say it certainly escaped the Division of Emergency Management, but we are bringing back customer service. My team has a policy and procedure now that they must return all calls and emails within 24 hours. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to have your answer, but they will be making contact with you when you make phone calls to us, or you send emails to us, and give you some type of status of the length of time it's going to take. We certainly recognize that we have not been the leaders in service excellence, but we want to get to that point. The last two there are adaptability and collaboration. Moving on, what are our division goals this year? We're going to engage technology, and we started that process about 2 years ago. That is an assignment that Jared Moskowitz gave me. He looked at me and he says, Kevin, we've got to get technology into the 21st century. We are way behind. So he let me run with that as a deputy director. And we now have a new enterprise-wide grants management portal, which will have the same look and feel no matter what grant you're working in, whether you're working in a mitigation grant or you're working in a recovery PA grant. Starting with the next disaster, those will all look and feel the same. We will be migrating all of the data in past disasters into that system as well. That is built on a Salesforce backbone. So again, Salesforce has been an up and comer in the last couple of years, and the state's engaged it on numerous platforms here. It's been working very well, and we will continue to move to that being our backbone database management software. Secondly, we're going to be working on comprehensive process management. And last, we're going to be working on professional development. Those are all things that I wanted to give you on background that we're working on. What I really wanted to take the advantage of right now that I got to share with Commissioner Bailey was what's new to everyone is Florida's recovery obligation calculation rating. It's going to be labeled FROC. Our marketing tool, as you see the brick wall here, is we want all applicants to build their recovery on a solid foundation. That solid foundation includes both a historical and a risk abatement type situation. There has been for a very long time, going back to the 04-05 hurricane season, the Office of Inspector General has had numerous findings against the Florida Division of Emergency Management for lack of a risk-based approach to applicant obligations from FEMA. I will take you back to when I say the previous administration, I mean the previous Rick Scott administration of individuals that were here. The policy was you're not going to get paid anything at the applicant level until 100% of everything is validated. So we get your obligation. We sit on your obligation for, in some cases, in the case of a situation in Collier County, we sat on it for 4 years without paying that obligation out. And that was held up on a $10,000-ish load ticket, and it was $45 million. We certainly, when we came in, myself and Jared said, there's got to be a change here. So we went to giving pretty much everybody 50% upfront. We would give every applicant 50%, again, not based on a risk-based strategy, but based on just a policy giving individuals 50% of their obligation upfront, and then validating 10% at a time and releasing 10% at a time. But I don't think that's good enough. That was a good methodology. It was much better than the previous administration, but I think there's still room for us to do much better. And that brings into play the Florida's recovery obligation calculation. So we're going to standardize every single applicant. So put this in perspective, the applicants for Hurricane Irma, which was the last storm that you guys were all impacted by, there were 1,527 applicants. And everybody was treated the same. You don't receive any of your money until it's completely validated. Now, if that storm were to happen, you would get 50%. But there are some, or I should say some, there's a majority of the applicants that actually do what they're supposed to do. They engage in their comprehensive emergency management plan. They do training. They have standard form standardization. They have all sorts of things that make them less of a risk. We've just never documented that. So what you see in front of you on this slide is the risk rating is going to be based on a historical factor plus a risk abatement factor will equal your overall FROC rating. Think of this in the terms of maybe a credit rating. The higher your credit rating, the less of a risk you are to us and the more obligation we're going to give you. So for instance, you see there on this slide, historical factors are going to be, what is your historical factors as an applicant on de-obligations? Have you had any fraud? And it's sad that we actually have to put this in here, but yes, there have been fraud arrests and things of that nature in the past. But De-obligations, fraud, insured, are you self-insured versus Florida Municipal Insurance Trust insured, or maybe other some type of private sector insurance? What are your bond ratings? What reserve percentage do you have of your general fund operations? As the senator mentioned in my bio, I am a former assistant county administrator, so I understand the purposes or the necessity of having reserves. So again, what are your reserve percentages? Do you have any Office of Inspector General, whether that's at the state level or Department of Homeland Security level, findings? Do you have any Joint Legislative Auditing Committee findings? Something else that is not in here that we'll probably use on your historical is your comprehensive emergency management plan. Do you have an annex called a cost recovery plan? Do you have an annex called a post-disaster redevelopment plan? Again, what are those things that we can do in Blue Sky that will make up your historical rating? The next section is your risk abatement. So how are you addressing your social vulnerable index? How are you addressing parity of how you're going to help equitable distribution throughout your cities and counties? Those are two things that are very important to FEMA right now. So therefore, those are passed through us down to the local applicant level. What other plans, forms, things that you do, trainings that you do that will help buy down the state's risk and buy up your obligation? A little bit different way to see this is, do you have, for instance, in your standard risk assessment, do you have a procurement policy pre-disaster, post-disaster? What is your policies pre-disaster, post-disaster? These are all things that we want to see an applicant actually have to help abate the risks. So what are the timeframes on this? So by June 1st of this year, by June 1st of 2022, it is our goal at the Florida Division of Emergency Management to do one step, and that is to, or actually one step is actually two different subsets. We're going to standardize all of the forms for Cat A, which is your debris removal, and Cat B, which is your emergency protective measures. We're going to standardize those forms. You may say, well, Kevin, why are you spending so much time on form standardization? Well, I'll tell you why. During Hurricane Michael, Hurricane Irma, historically with FEMA's Community Resource Center, CRC, which is the first step of looking at an applicant's project, 70% of Florida's project worksheets were denied. They were sent back for requests for information. And 46% of that 70% of paperwork, so nearly half of that paperwork, the information that FEMA was looking for was inside the document that they sent back to us. What was the problem? 1,527 applicants in Irma sent their paperwork in a little bit differently. In fact, inside of debris removal, we had one vendor that's a Florida-based company that had 11 different versions of their own load ticket because a county or a city wanted something just slightly different on that load ticket. So what we're doing is we are going to take a standardized approach so that when the federal government sees this, we can obligate funding faster. If we can obligate funding faster, especially within the first 12 months, and that 12-month lock-in is what drives your mitigation grants at the local level. And we are guaranteed, yes, I did say guaranteed, we are guaranteed 20% of the obligated number for flooding, resiliency, hardening type grants through the federal government. That program is called Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, or HMGP. After we finish that first phase, which will go into effect June 1 of this year, and we are on track to do that. The next 9 months, we're going to be working to building out the bigger, broader risk abatement of what trainings does it make sense for your or for your municipalities to take. So, for instance, recovery inside of finance. What does your finance team do today to be ready for a disaster? Have they taken any type of training? Has only one person in a shop of, say, 10 taken the training versus everybody inside the shop taking the necessary training? We're going to be identifying trainings that when you take and when you commit at the local level to send these individuals to training, you will get a return on your investment. I know it's hard to send people to training for a day, and we're going to try to do trainings in no more than a day, 2 at the max. But when you take the opportunity to send them, there will be a return on investment. When they go to training, you're going to tick up on your recovery obligation calculation. If you tick up 5 percentage points on a $100 million obligation, well, that's $5 million. So it's real, in the cases of disasters, it's real money. We are still flushing out a lot of these programs, but I wanted to bring this to you, show it to you, let you know what's going on. At this year's Florida Emergency Preparedness Association Conference, which is going on in a couple of weeks in Sandestin, Florida, up in the Panhandle, we will be rolling out a concept of operations training. Again, that's, a seminar is what they're going to actually call it, because there is no points for that particular class. It's just a concept of operations, much like what we're doing here, but it would be over a 4-hour period. So we'll be rolling out the concept of operations at the FEPA conference in Sandestin here in a couple of weeks. We're also going to roll it out in Central Florida in conjunction with the National Hurricane Conference in April. And then we will roll it out at the Governor's Hurricane Conference in Southeast Florida in May. The only disadvantage especially to you folks at the South Florida Regional Planning Council, is waiting until May for a June 1 adoption may put you up against the, against the wall there. So I would encourage you to get involved sooner than later. But nevertheless, I'm available for questions. I know that it may be a little bit difficult to do it now, Senator, with time certain presentations, but willing to send our people to South Florida, willing to engage you guys at whatever level we need to. Senator, thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Director Guthrie. And I think that the individual counties may take you up on that. I had just one question. The whole issue of delays in payments, which I thought the bigger problem was FEMA, not Florida Department of Emergency Management, has been a huge issue for a lot of local governments, where they wait for years to get paybacks or to get payments, and then they're worried about clawbacks. Are you saying that with your standardization of forms that you believe that that will dramatically reduce the delays from FEMA? Because I haven't heard big complaints about FDEM. I've just been hearing complaints about FEMA. So do you believe that the standardization will then comply with FEMA standards, or does FEMA just change their standards every 2 weeks and act in an arbitrary and discretionary fashion?
So that's a great question, Senator. And the short answer is FEMA does change their rules quite a bit. However, when we talk about actual documentation and collection of documentation, that has been a staple with FEMA for a number, well, I started to say a number of years, but probably a number of decades now. The number one reason that we have money deobligated and money clawed back is for one simple reason. We do not document well in the state of Florida. As a former police officer, there's something called the Uniform Crime Reporting Statistics. Every law enforcement agency in the country has their standardization of how they roll up data points to the federal government for certain cases in crime. Same thing goes with NFIRS, the National Fire Reporting System. There is a standardization across the nation of how you report fire investigation reporting, EMS reporting. There is no standardization in the area of emergency management. So therefore, we in Florida, we're going to take the lead. We're going to be, again, going back to one of my first slides, we're going to be the standard. We're going to be the tip of the spear on this. We're going to give that standard. We're going to submit that standard. And we do believe, because we are working with FEMA Region 4 and FEMA headquarters on this initiative, that we will get more money through in a faster amount of time. We believe that we'll be able to get people their money, at least 50%, 60%, 70% of their money in less than 12 months now, which is a much faster than we've ever done it before.
Thank you, sir. Media Pass Chair Bailey, did you have your hand up? You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Director Guthrie, first for having an open door policy. Whenever I reach out to you or just different individuals, your team is already there. They're always there. So first, thank you. Secondly, his team was excited. They were initially going to come to our Monroe County meeting, but there was a scheduling issue on our end. So thank you for just being available to even to travel down to be with us. And thank you again for your leadership. That's it.
Thank you. Any other questions from any committee members in the room? Not seeing any. Are there any questions or comments from any commission for council members, online? Are there any comments from any council
Ross
members
would like to
online?
speak.
Who? Mayor Ross, you recognize, sir. Mayor Ross, you're recognized. Mayor Ross, we can't hear you. Are you on mute? He's waving his hands.
There's something wrong with his audio, so he just waved off that he
Okay.
was jumping off.
Gotcha. All right. Are there any other council members online that wish to speak? Don't see any. So, again, Director Guthrie, thank you for your time, sir. If there's anything we can do to make your life easier, please let us know. We look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Next, I'd like to recognize James F. Murley. I've worked with Jim for literally decades during the 20 years I was in the legislature, and he was Secretary of DCA, was it? Okay, so let me read his actually bio now. James F. Murley is the Chief Resilience Officer for Miami-Dade County. Miami-Dade County, together with the cities of Miami and Miami Beach, launched their Resilient 305 strategy in May 2019. Jim previously served as Secretary of the Department of Community Affairs under Governor Lawton Chiles and was appointed chair of the Florida Energy and Climate Commission by Governor Charlie Crist. I served under both. Additionally, served as executive director of Thousand Friends of Florida, worked with him there, spent over 10 years with Florida Atlantic University, overseeing research on urban environmental issues, worked with him there, and served as executive director of the South Florida Regional Planning Council. Wasn't on it then. Jim is a founding member of the American Society for Adaptation Professionals and Resiliency Florida, a board member of the Florida Ocean Alliance and the Southeast Coastal Ocean Observing Regional Association. Murley serves as Mayor Levine Cava's designee on the Miami River Commission. He is also a fellow of the National Academy of Public Administration. I'd like to introduce you all to my friend and extremely competent, thoughtful person, Jim Murley.
Thank you very much, Chair Senator Geller. It's a real privilege to be back with this commission. As you can tell from my resume, I'm a firm believer in regional planning and happy to see the active work that you're doing under your officers and under the fine direction of your executive director, a good friend, Isabella. I'm here for 3 quick points, Mr. Chair, members of the council. First, we are very pleased to see the initiative around the military resilience regional study. If there's ever a set of activities that needs to be looked at regionally, it is the very important installations in Monroe County, Miami-Dade, and Broward. And seeing that evolve, being asked by Isabella to provide input as it came along. And I guarantee you the mayor prioritizes this issue. And I'm sure our commissioners would share the same, Commissioner McGee, that we will actively participate and respond to any needs you have from the mayor's administration to be sure the regional study is a success. The study and its regional component really demonstrates the need for continued regional planning, which you heard Mayor Cava talk about earlier. I want to introduce Ms. Kim Brown, who is in a new position created by the mayor. She will be our Director of Resilience Planning and Implementation. In that role, Mr. Chair, members of the council, she will be your day-to-day contact on regional council activities, all things regional, all things planning. We are going to look at our future in a broad planning perspective under the mayor with the support of the commission. And this is, Kim will be point on that. I'd like for her to at least just say a real quick word, if she'd like.
Thank you for being here today, ma'am. You're recognized.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, first of all, I just want to thank Mayor Levine Cava for the trust she's placed in me to advance resilience initiatives on behalf of the county, which, as we all know, is a priority for her. And, fortunately, this role allows me to work more closely with, incredible professionals like Mr. Murley. I'm a planner by education and experience. I've been with the county for almost 13 years. I'm 2 months shy of 13 years. Most recently serving in the role of supervisor of long range planning. So, I come with a perspective on, the county's broad planning framework and the issues that we face. I'm excited to hear the comments, particularly of Chairman Geller about the Regional Planning Council having a stronger focus on the regional issues, because as we all know, resilience and all of the issues that fall under it are regional in nature. So I'm really excited to hear that. And just lastly, to note, we're in a time where we face immense challenges, but just also that there's tremendous opportunities right now. And hearing the comments of Director Guthrie, really framed that as well. So I look forward to grabbing hold of some of those opportunities and moving them forward. I'm just really excited about the opportunity. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Mayers.
Mr. Chair, my last item is really maybe almost a point of privilege, personal privilege with you. Last time you were here, we all respectively lamented the passing of Jack Osterholt, a former regional planning council executive director twice, Broward County administrator, deputy mayor, Miami-Dade County. And I know you guys, the council, did a really nice thing in respect for his passing. Since that time, Mr. Chair, members of the council, I've been working with the Maurice Ferré Institute of Leadership at Florida International University, and we are very close now to setting up the Jack Osterholt Memorial internship, where a student coming through the public administration program at FIU would be eligible, would be chosen for competition, receive a stipend, and would be placed in the highest levels of the administration of Miami-Dade County. And Mr. Chair, this program, this approach could easily include Broward. So Jack had his home was in Broward. So I just wanted to update you on that. We'll have more specific information we'll share through your executive director. But I think it's the kind of living memorial for a true public administration professional that fits the situation. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate you being here. And again, anything that the mayor's office can do to assist in your activities, just give us a call. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Murley. And as that matures, call me and I'll see what we can do in Broward.
Thank you, sir.
Immediate past Chair Bailey.
This is going to be really quick. It's always great to see Jim back. My introductory to the South Florida Regional Planning Council was him coming to my office when I was appointed by then Governor Scott, and he gave me an orientation, and it was a pleasure to work with you while you were the executive director, and you definitely turned over good hands with Isabel. So thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Murley from any council members present? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from any council members online? Seeing none. Yes.
I would just like to say that I'm really excited. Jim Murley has been a longtime friend, so has Kim. And I think Pamela's here as well, Pamela Sweeney. So we always, we keep in close contact, we work closely together, and I'm looking forward to these new opportunities to do more. So thank y'all very much.
Well, actually, since you mentioned Pamela Sweeney, she's our last speaker. So our last speaker today is Pamela Sweeney. She is from Miami. What high school did you go to? Where? Okay, I went to Miami Coral Park. Is from Miami and currently serves as the county's chief water scientist, managing the county's water resources section within Miami-Dade County Division of Environmental Resources Management's Water Resources Division. Is she the Broward, the Dade version of Dr. Gerardo? Okay. Prior to her new role, Pamela served as a section manager for the Restoration and Enhancement section, where she oversaw the county's surface water quality and submerged aquatic vegetation monitoring programs, the monitoring and conservation of coral reef resources, and responses to emergent events, programs that are integral to the understanding of the health of Biscayne Bay and Southeast Florida's coral reef tract. Pamela began her tenure with the county, having managed the county's coastal and wetlands resources regulatory programs. Before joining county service in 2015, Pamela served as the manager of FDEP Biscayne Bay Aquatic Preserves program for most of her 10-year tenure, where she oversaw the management of 70,000 acres of submerged lands from the headwaters of the Oleta River to Card Sound. In her tenure, Pamela spearheaded the drafting of the Aquatic Preserve's first ever management plan, which brought stakeholders together to develop a comprehensive plan for the future management of the Biscayne Bay Aquatic Preserves, as well as serving as vice chair of the Biscayne Bay Regional Restoration Coordination Team. Pamela worked alongside other agencies and community partners to start an Adopt an Island program, an eco-tour program, and provide educational opportunities for children, teachers, law enforcement, and the public to promote an understanding and appreciation of both the Bay's beauty and challenges to its continued resilience. That sentence was like 400 words. Pamela remains committed to working in community to achieve a shared vision of a restored and vibrant Biscayne Bay for this and future generations. Pamela has also served as an instructor at the University of Miami's Rosenstiel School of Marine and Atmospheric Science. University of Miami's Rosenstiel School of Marine and Atmospheric Science, and has been recognized as a luminary of equality for her work over the years as a community organizer working to advance the rights of people who are LGBT. Okay, with an introduction like that, you better deliver here. I'd like now to recognize Pamela Sweeney. You're recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. That was quite the introduction. I appreciate that. That was very generous. It's an honor and a pleasure to be before you today, both the members here in person and of course joining us remotely. Isabel, it's a pleasure to finally meet you in person. I feel we've spoken a lot over the years, but virtually. Thank you also for allowing us to present to you today a bit about the status of the health of Biscayne Bay, as well as the most recent efforts to restore and recover this incredible national and really international resource. I'm here today instead of our Chief Bay Officer, Arella Begay, who's actually traveling to Tallahassee on behalf of many of the issues we're going to talk about today. And with that, I'm going to start our presentation. So by now, most of us have heard about the significant seagrass die-off in the Julia Tuttle Basin, which is what we're taking a look at here, a time series put together actually by the Biscayne Bay Aquatic Preserve that takes us through a visual representation of the seagrass loss this basin has experienced from 2011 through 2017. The event began around 2011, and by 2017, we had lost about 12 square kilometers, or a decrease of nearly 80% of seagrasses in this basin alone. For those of us for whom sports analogies are very helpful, that amounts to about 1,653 soccer fields. So in a basin that used to have about 2,000 acres of seagrass, this was pretty significant. Biscayne Bay actually has experienced 3 major seagrass loss events, though, since the early 2000s, of which this is just one. There was also the Barnes Sound Manatee Bay die-off that was associated actually with a phytoplankton bloom. And phytoplankton are those algae that we can't see with our bare eye, as opposed to a macroalgal bloom, which is sort of material you can see with your naked eye. And that particular seagrass die-off event lasted for about 3 years, from 2005 to 2008. And we lost about 13.8 square kilometers. Again, that's nearly 2,000 soccer fields. In the central part of Biscayne Bay, closest to Snapper Creek and Coral Gables, we also experienced a macroalgal bloom that shaded out and caused the seagrass die-off between 2005 and 2015, amounting to a loss of almost 40 square kilometers, over 5,000 soccer fields. Around the same time, and during these and other events, this body is actually very familiar with and took a leadership role in what is now known as the stony coral tissue loss disease event. In 2014, beginning with scientists noticing corals being affected by what was then an unnamed disease right here off the coast of Miami-Dade County. We know that in 4 years, from about 2014 to 2018, this disease had spread across 150 square miles, impacting the entire Florida Reef Tract from Martin County to Monroe. And to date, this disease has spread across the Caribbean. And again, much appreciation to this board, to the South Florida Regional Planning Council, for their leadership and efforts to coordinate much of the scientific discussion and discussion with our multi-county leadership at the time. So with that, if I could advance to the next slide. There we go. So in August of 2020, Northern Biscayne Bay experienced an unprecedented fish kill. Again, most of us have heard about this event, with tens of thousands of mostly bottom-dwelling fish washing up along shorelines and at the surface across 2 basins in Northern Biscayne Bay. Soon after, we had an algal event in the area north of where the fish kill initially happened, images of which you can see on the screen. In August of 2021, so this past August, a year following, almost to the week of the initial fish kill, the bay experienced yet another. And while more minor in terms of volume, this particular fish kill spanned 4 basins and species beyond just bottom-dwelling fish. And that becomes important when we talk about some of the reasons why the fish kill happened. There were some similarities between these 2 fish kill events from August 2020 and August 2021. For example, during this time, both years, we experienced lower winds, higher temperatures, higher air temperatures, and therefore higher water temperatures, and high residence times and low circulation in these basins. And by residence time, I mean taking some time, several days, for the water in this basin to turn over, or in these basins to turn over. And this is all happening across these basins in areas where we've lost a lot of resilience. And by resilience, I know we often talk about things like hardened infrastructure and the ways in which we need to make sure that our infrastructure can withstand things like sea level rise and impacts of climate change. But we don't often talk about the resilience of the resource itself. And in this case, that's Biscayne Bay. One of the reasons why we know we've had this issue occur, this loss of resilience in the bay leading to seagrass die-offs and fish kills, are in part things like nutrient inputs, which we'll talk about in a moment in terms of the genesis of where those inputs come from, but also acute events like freshwater flows carrying high nutrient and low dissolved oxygen quality water to these basins. That plays just a role and isn't the singular reason. But together, these conditions I've described can create and or maintain extended periods of low dissolved oxygen water, which can lead to, in some cases, as a direct culprit of fish kill or an algal bloom, but really it's sort of a perfect storm, if you will, of all of these sort of coming down on the resource at the same time. And these degraded conditions really that lead to fish kills and algal blooms. Are events like this unique to us here in Miami-Dade County and Biscayne Bay? Absolutely not. But whereas Tampa Bay or even Sarasota Bay have complex sets of conditions that degrade water quality and impact their respective resources, those systems are sort of on the order of what I like to call a 100-piece puzzle. And we're sort of more like a 1,000-piece puzzle, being the most populous the most populous county in the state, with a series of longstanding and known infrastructure issues and water quality issues. So more on that in a moment. So whether the impact of the fish kill or an algal bloom, one common denominator includes these events taking place in basins where the habitat is quite literally the habitat that quite literally oxygenates the water. So seagrass being our primary producers, giving us oxygen, even phytoplankton, those microscopic organisms that we can thank every third breath for the amount of oxygen that they give us. Those habitats are providing for food and shelter for fish and invertebrates, but again, oxygenating the water column, and those habitats largely being gone. And with it, their ability to process things like nutrient inputs. So while these issues are complicated, they touch many of the respective agencies we deal with, many of the leaders that represent this board and our council, but we look at this as a plus and not a minus. So what are these issues? How did we get to where we are? And what issues affect habitats like seagrass and our offshore reefs like coral reefs? To answer this, we need to go a bit deeper in terms of what's impacting these habitats to look at water quality. And we're going to focus a little bit about how these particular issues you see here on the slide amount to an impact to water quality in just a moment. But let's stay here and just talk a bit about how the things that affect or end up on our land, the activities happening up on our uplands, pollution that might be caused by or generated from our uplands really ends up in our bay. So what happens on land doesn't stay on the land. And what you see here on the slide are just a few of those potential sources of pollutants and other contaminants that we know can degrade water quality and in turn then degrade habitat. So for example, stormwater runoff can carry with it things like pet waste, gas and oil, landscape waste, trash, of course, marine debris being a very important issue that Miami-Dade County and the state is grappling with, industrial uses, agriculture, and construction. And on the wastewater side, we know that the county and other counties around South Florida grapple with aged sanitary sewer lines and septic systems and the effluent that can come from that. And in some cases, in terms of sanitary sewer lines, even mix with stormwater and be conveyed directly to surface water. Canal runoff is of course an issue and not so much the volume of water, but really what those canals can convey. Fertilizer and other chemicals, and of course, issues of non-compliance and illicit issues. So each of these potential sources of nutrients and pollutants on the left here of your slide can communicate with surface water through stormwater runoff and groundwater. And flows from primary canals are just one component. And again, it's about what those canals convey. We know that deposition of organic matter conveyed by canals can also sort of consume oxygen in the water column, thereby creating a symptom of that perfect storm of events that can lead to fish kills and algal blooms. And so we know that both our partners at the Water Management District and our water management division here in Miami-Dade County and Water and Sewer, we're very aware of the fact that we've historically sort of thought very hard and been very successful at moving large amounts of water off the landscape quickly to protect people and infrastructure and resources. But we know that we've got to think a little bit differently about how we do that. We know we need to continue to move water responsibly and not at Biscayne Bay's peril. So working together to make Biscayne Bay more resilient and allowing the bay to better sort of assimilate and tolerate these nutrient events will continue to be a challenge in years to come, but they are within our control. We know that things like reducing nutrient inputs and other contaminants into the system is within our control, unlike things like severe storms and drought and high temperatures. So being able to make the system more resilient is a priority. And with that, how do these kinds of issues actually impact water quality? And I'm just going to present two concepts that we are dealing with in Miami-Dade County with our state partners and our municipal partners. And we know that die-off events, as I mentioned, are largely associated with nutrients in excess. But just like all living organisms, we need nutrients to survive. The problem becomes when nutrients are in excess of what the system can handle over time. Phosphorus is usually considered the limiting nutrient in aquatic systems, and that means that the quantity of this nutrient controls the pace at which algae and other aquatic plants can grow. The graphic that you see here represents a sort of a schematic of how these sort of biogeochemical processes happen. And this is a piece by Forkwood and Hall. And what you see here is just a graphic depiction of how high biomass, so you give something a lot of nutrients, it's going to grow robustly. You're going to have a lot of roots and a lot of mass of that resource, in this case, seagrasses, all competing for oxygen under the surface of that sand. And what you see here is sort of oxygen depletion below the surface of the bay. And there's a phenomenon known as hydrogen sulfide toxicity. And this is the mechanism by which we thought we might have lost a lot of the seagrass in Julia Tuttle Basin. And this is also a leading theory down in Florida Bay from an impact that happened many years ago as well. The graphic you see on your right, that schematic sort of the length of Biscayne Bay, represents a study by Nicole Millett of NOAA et al. And this suggests an increasing trend in chlorophyll over the last 20 years. And chlorophyll is really a proxy or an indicator of how much phytoplankton is in our water column. So how much algae in mass is in our water column. And nutrients that are increasing in Biscayne Bay, increasing the amount of chlorophyll, driving down the demand for oxygen is something that we are concerned about. And this increase in chlorophyll, as you can see by the graphic, where you see a lot of green and yellow, is most dramatic in North Biscayne Bay. And the nutrient analysis done by NOAA indicate that phosphorus is one of the largest culprits. And again, this matters because we can control and mitigate, reduce, and even eliminate these sources of nutrient enrichment, as well as other pollutant loading. So one of the tools that the county has developed in order to help communicate with the public about what these issues entail is a report card. And I welcome everybody to check out miami-dade.gov/Biscayne Bay, where we have an incredible amount of resources that we're amassing there, not the least of which is a link to our interactive report card. One of the things that we know is when we look at water quality parameters connected to our habitat analysis, we see that most of these basins are of concern. So it's a stoplight type approach where green is good, yellow is of concern, and red is something that needs to be addressed more immediately. And what you see here is a lot of these basins impacted by things like nutrients and now degradation of seagrass habitat. What are some of the sources of the fresh water and of that pollutant load that we talked about earlier? Well, thanks to the work of Drs. Kachan and Boyer, and we're lucky to have Dr. Kachan on our staff, we know that canal discharge and precipitation makes up a good amount of that, as well as subterranean groundwater flow. So these are the areas that we're going to be focusing our attention. I wanted to turn for a moment and acknowledge sort of how we've come to where we've come in understanding and sort of amassing this current status and trends of Biscayne Bay, and also what we were going to do about it. And to do that, the Biscayne Bay Task Force was created in large part as part of a call to action at the first Biscayne Bay Marine Health Summit, and because also of the county's understanding of a need to sort of reevaluate our management planning efforts with our partners. We know that the task force members spent a dedicated 18 months working on these issues, including Mr. Murley. And we want to thank and acknowledge their service and also honor the memory of Alice Robertson, seen in this photograph of the members, whose contributions to the task force and her long-term public service career left a lasting legacy. So of the highlights of the Biscayne Bay Task Force, which tackled 68 recommendations divided into 7 policy themes, there were a couple highlights that have come out of these processes to date that I wanted to sort of touch on. And wanted to start with sort of why is this effort different? As the chairman was kind enough to mention, I was part of the Biscayne Bay Management Planning Initiative at the state. Miami-Dade County has had a Biscayne Bay Management Plan since the 80s, and other municipalities have made major efforts to sort of look at their stormwater master plan impacts and other things. So how did we get here? We've undertaken so many management planning initiatives, including the Biscayne Bay Partnership Initiative. Well, I think 3 singular things made this effort a bit different. One is a hardcore focus on water quality and acknowledging that without getting the water right, we aren't going to have the ability to recover the seagrass resources and offshore resources that we've lost. The second of 3 things, I think, is the level of partnership we're seeking. And this is not so much everybody sort of working in their silo separately on the same issue, but rather working together to address those issues, including our municipal and state partners. And lastly, governance. The fact that we have, through the work of the task force, developed a governance structure at the county level. And in parallel, our leadership in Tallahassee created a commission as well to sort of oversee and hold accountable these partners to the Biscayne Bay restoration process, I think make this endeavor a bit different. So what you see before you are just some highlights and accomplishments of the task force to date. This includes Miami-Dade County passing the strongest fertilizer ordinance in the state, designing and promoting the sale of a specialty license plate to raise funds for education and conservation. So I encourage all of you to take a look at the plate and pre-order them if you're interested. Establishing a permanent advisory board, which is the Biscayne Bay Watershed Management Advisory Board that we'll talk about in a moment. Partnering with the Water Management District to cost share the update to the 2005 Biscayne Bay Economic Study are just a few. So partnerships have really helped us lead to some of these great accomplishments, not the least of which is being able to pull a record 51 derelict vessels out of Biscayne Bay this past year in partnership with FWC and some of our municipal law enforcement partners. And as well as looking at water quality monitoring, the Biscayne Bay Aquatic Preserve's efforts are unprecedented in terms of obtaining real-time data and filling in data gaps, where the county and academic institutions are working together to fill those gaps, and also working on issues of the way our resources are used, not the least of which is coordinating better on spoil island management and other activities that may or may not be illicit that take place in the Bay that are directly impacting seagrass resources and water quality. One of the most notable partnerships, though, of this past year was the county working with DEP on the first ever Coral Reef Protection Grant, now sort of posited under water protection grants as a whole. But in 2020, we worked with the state to identify 4 major areas that we wanted to partner on. The primary of which is, of course, looking at these hotspots, many of which you can see very clearly identified in our report card, where we need to focus the most effort to get the biggest bang for our buck. And that includes the Miami River, Little River, and Biscayne Canal. And so we're going to be going back into those basins to better identify potential sources of pollutants, to be able to identify potential solutions. Wastewater improvements. We are going to be working together with our water and sewer department sort of partner sister agency to conduct a slew of septic to sewer conversions that, with the state support, will sort of be cradle to grave, where we're not just placing lines and laterals in as part of the water and sewer department's ongoing efforts, but also connect those private residences. And so again, sort of a cradle to grave approach with those septic systems being decommissioned in the process. And those households committing to signing up for sanitary sewer service, starting in some of the most vulnerable areas where septic systems are failing under the threat of sea level rise, and communicating that effluent to surface water. Also, using new technology like smart covers, and these smart covers are placed in manholes and help us prevent and predict sanitary sewer overflows, or what we call sewage spills. Stormwater improvements. We are going to be piloting 3 different kinds of technologies in the Little River Basin. So we're very excited to see how these new technologies might be able to take us further in reducing nutrient and pollutant loading at the point at which water is communicating with surface water from our stormwater systems. And also testing just simply if enhanced maintenance activities can also help us get to where we're going. So not necessarily placing new technology in the ground, but rather just increasing the amount of maintenance and the type of maintenance we're doing. And lastly, habitat restoration. We're going to be working with partners, including the state's aquatic preserve, on a living shorelines guidance document. And this is meant to sort of bring us all together on the same page with our municipal partners, the regulated public, in looking at ways in which we can look for options other than hardening our shorelines to provide a more natural benefit, not only to enhance the resilience of the bay under the threat of sea level rise, but also provide some habitat benefits. We have applied for a second phase of water quality protection funds that will continue on this work from the state. So we're looking forward to that. And lastly, we did also successfully obtain the go-ahead to move 16 projects forward by Miami-Dade County under the state's Resilience Grant Fund, 4 of which will directly impact our environmentally endangered lands program, as well as Biscayne Bay. And so we're very excited to see those come to fruition. As we close, we just wanted to share a little bit about the ways the Watershed Board at the county level interact with, or will be interacting with the Biscayne Bay Commission, which is the state's commission that was set up again for an accountability and sort of governance structure to oversee this process. And the way that we foresee this happening is that our Watershed Management Advisory Board, based in Miami-Dade County, will be hearing from and suggesting, based on policy initiatives and the work coming out of these grant activities and other studies we're doing, ways in which we can move forward with getting our restoration plan or our watershed plan together. This board is responsible for drafting a watershed plan for the Bay, and also other policies that may require the state support as well. And so the work is sort of being done on this local level, the state kind of looking at that work and helping us drive it forward where it's applicable and helpful for those state agencies to do so. And so there's really sort of a give and a take with the bulk of the work happening here locally, driving the process. We have shared with our Biscayne Bay Commission partners a couple of the highest level goals that we hope to work together with them on, not the least of which is septic to sewer, as I've mentioned. This is one of the county's headiest legislative priorities in this legislative session. And so at the Biscayne Bay Commission at the beginning of this month, we did share that this is one of the main areas we think from a water quality perspective, the state and the Biscayne Bay Commission can help us move forward here in Miami-Dade County, knowing we can use additional support in the marine law enforcement realm to help accomplish and achieve our goals of eliminating some of the illicit activities that directly impact the health of the Bay. And I want to also just skip down to land management and our environmentally endangered lands program. We know, as I mentioned, stormwater a minute ago is a major source of nutrient loading and pollutant loading in Miami-Dade County. And acquiring lands that can help us to divert that flow or otherwise treat that water is something that we need to consider. And we'll be working with our water management district partners at their level of service commitments and the ways in which we can think maybe outside of the box and ways to sort of prevent that bulk of stormwater from reaching the Bay in the condition it's in. And also in terms of our environmentally endangered lands program, over the years and through our partnerships and our acquisition funds, we know that we now have over 20,000 acres in public ownership. And we know that that water helps, or I'm sorry, that those lands help us to recharge our aquifer, store water in ways in which there's a direct impact and benefit to the Bay in those coastal areas. But we need to find additional funding sources to keep that program alive because it really is just a jewel of the county and really of the state. And so with that, I just want to thank you for your time. Miami-Dade County remains committed to assisting the council in any way we can, and we stand ready to do so. So thank you for your time today.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sweeney. A couple of quick comments, then I'll open it up.
Yes, sir.
I've chaired for the last 3 or 4 years, the Broward County Water Advisory Board, and a lot of the stuff that you're doing are things we've been working on. 2 quick questions and or comments on the fertilizer ordinance that you did. I had brought one up and then we decided actually to put it off for a year to see how yours works. So when did you actually enact yours? It was about a year ago, right?
Over the summer, that's right. And so we were withholding any enforcement through October of last year so that we had an opportunity to educate the public of the details. But we are actually in the throes of engaging with the companies that sell fertilizers and doing an education campaign and across the county to help folks understand why we're doing it and the importance of those regulations. So we anticipate this will probably be the first summer coming up where that will actually be be enforced.
Well, please, Dr. Jennifer Hirado, I assume.
Yes, sir.
Okay. She's our staff on this. So after a year from now or something like that, if you can get back with her, because I had prepared an ordinance brought to us by a Miami-Dade group. I think it was the Water Keepers or something like that. And as I said, in consultation with Dr. Hirado, we determined we're going to let you try it out first and see how it works down in Dade, or I guess here in Dade now. And then Broward will look at something after. I assume you may need to make some changes to yours to fine tune yours as you get feedback from the community. So we're very interested in what you finally end up with and how it works.
Absolutely.
Okay, and secondly, septic to sewer is normally we deal with 3 or 4 topics at each of our meetings. I've asked our next meeting be strictly septic to sewer. How much do you find it costs on average for the septic to sewer? We're finding that the connections, putting in the pipes, the total cost to the consumers probably in the $10,000 price range. Is that about what it's running in Dade?
I really would defer to my water and sewer colleagues to really give you a more accurate number, but so I'd rather get back to the council.
Okay. We're also, again, very concerned for the exact same reasons that you are, that we just have to do it and the cost is prohibitive. And as you know, last year, when the Florida legislature did put some money in, they very conveniently excluded Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach from any access to the septic to sewer fund. So we're hoping this year it'll be statewide.
That's right.
All right.
But I'm happy to get that information for you, Senator.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions or comments? Yes, sir. Council member, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was a very interesting report. Unfortunately, we've known most of that for a long time. And it's great that you keep bringing it forward, but I just hope someday that the government will have the political will to invest the money that really needs to be invested to correct this. We're very blessed in the Keys being an area of critical concern that address many of these issues, and we've seen the improvement that come from that. Biscayne Bay has been a beautiful spot. I've been going there for 50 some years. I mean, it has deteriorated so much, and hope we don't want to get to a point that we can't recover, but I just hope Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties understand how critical this is and really bite the bullet and invest in it. And a lot of your pollution comes all the way from out west with the canals that come down to intercoastal and then to the ocean. But I think the most impact is Biscayne Bay, and I just hope the governor and the cabinet and the legislature, everybody understands this and protects this beautiful area. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gates. Any additional questions or comments from anyone here? If not, I'm sorry, if not, are there any questions or comments from any of the members on the line?
Yes,
Virtual.
Please.
Is that Commissioner Furr?
Yes, it is.
Recognize your voice. Commissioner Furr, you're recognized, sir.
It doesn't quite sound the same as normal. Anyway, first of all, I want to thank for the presentation. Excellent. Obviously, your plate is extremely full, much like ours in Broward. And like the gentleman from the Keys said, I also kind of hope that we finally get to the political will where we invest in, like they did, advanced water treatment, which I think would really go a long ways on this. But my question is, and this just kind of recently came up that I saw, was that in Orlando, the county there passed a right to clean water bill or ordinance. And I wonder if you've had a chance to look at that and what your thoughts are on that.
No, sorry, I have not, but I will certainly look into that. It's not something.
Yeah, it's pretty far reaching. It's, it takes a lot into consideration. And I do wonder if it's something that, I was surprised the larger county was willing to do that. And it's something that we may be wanting to look at. But I do appreciate all the work you're doing. I think there's room for us to work together, not only through the compact, but just as well as with this council. So thank you very much for your thoughts on and what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Furr. Are there any other members online attending that wish to comment or have any questions?
No.
No. All right. If not, thank you, Ms. Sweeney. And again, we appreciate your presence here today, and certainly you're doing the Lord's work on all of those important water issues.
Thank you, sir.
All right, members, we are now reverting back to our agenda. Are there comments also from the public that have been made that we have not yet recognized?
There are none.
There are no comments from the public. Okay, thank you. We are back to Roman numeral 6 on our agenda, and it's 12:42, and I think we need to finish by about 1 o'clock, so we'll try and speed through these remaining items. Let's see, the South Florida Regional Planning Council revolving loan fund status report. Jeff Tart. Mr.
Yes,
Tart, recognize, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Good afternoon, council members. Just an upfront thank you again for the council's support and helpful outreach, for your continued support of both the traditional revolving loan fund program and the CARES Act revolving loan fund program. Both programs serve a pivotal role in providing access to capital to small businesses that are seeking to expand or been impacted by COVID and unable to obtain traditional financing from traditional lenders. I just wanted to update the council members for this month that the SFRPC RLF program was congratulated and selected by the Economic Development Agency as a leading program in the country, demonstrating our commitment to achieving equitable outcomes and supporting minority diversification in the RLF Small Business Lending Program, a practice we focus on in our daily operations, but difficult for many throughout the country. So I wanted to share that with the council. Our next highlights will provide additional commentary on this recognition. Just the quick updates on our program. The traditional RLF is comprised of 26 borrowers. We have 4.3 million in assets and over $1 million in available cash to lend. The majority of the program is continuing to do well. We have one borrower in litigation, Angela Dawson, PA, as reflected on our enclosed legal status report. It was communicated by our legal counsel, Goran Cherov, that the case will be noticed for trial upon the conclusion of our next hearing on January 26th. We've made numerous attempts to try and settle with Ms. Dawson via mediation, but now we will go to trial. The loan administration team continues to review weekly new prospects as well as head up a new minority outreach initiative, and we rely on our social media outreach avenues as well. In regards to our CARES Act RLF program, it's done tremendously well. It's comprised of 23 borrowers. We have over $5.25 million that we funded. We have participants, borrowers throughout all of South Florida whose businesses have been impacted by COVID. I'm glad to report to our last RLF board as well as to this council board that the RLF board did just previously approve on January 18th its 24th loan as part of the CARES Act, and we have successfully deployed a full grant allotment of $5.38 million. That's great news. Ahead of the program's termination ending on June 30th, but the program continues to have available funds. It's revolving in nature. We still have over $400,000 in funds to lend to COVID impacted businesses, and just wanted to share that update. Thank you again for all your time. All this programming is available online, or feel free to reach out to myself or our loan administration team. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tart. Are there any questions or comments? Immediate past Chair Bailey.
Sure. And this question I think is for our legal counsel. Can you speak to the document that's placed in our record and just go over like, I know there's a trial, so there's maybe a lot that you can't speak on, like, but there's a lot like counterclaims and stuff. And it's just, if you can just I just want to hear what argument they were making. If you can kind of go.
I was going to ask the same thing.
Thank you.
If you can reveal anything publicly, understanding that this is a public record.
Correct. Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the former chair, immediate past chair, we do have a legal report included in the backup from my law partner, which is dated January 5th, 2002. As you indicate, this currently is in litigation. I will confess that my role has been relatively limited, so I don't want to speak out of turn, although the backup certainly provides a status as to the pending litigation. I do know there has been a significant back and forth with the defendants. We did attempt to resolve the issue through mediation. We certainly appeared in good faith, and we're hopeful that would have been the case. Unfortunately, it was not resolved through that process, and as Mr. Tart indicated, we're moving towards trial.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any additional questions or comments from anyone present here today? If not, are there any questions or comments from anyone, any of our members virtually present?
No comments virtually.
Okay, in that case, I would like to acknowledge that council members Kaufman and Goldberg are both revolving loan fund board members, and I'd like to thank them also for all of the good work that they have done. And if there's no additional questions, then we will move on to the South Florida Military Installation Resilience Review. Ms. Cosio Carballo.
Thank you, Senator Geller. Council members, the item is pretty clear in the agenda item. Out of the interest of time, I spoke about this a little earlier, and all of you will be getting follow-up correspondence. The details, we are moving in the next few weeks to create a steering committee. We'll be reaching out to, keep everybody informed and hopefully working to mutual benefit all throughout the region. So I would just say the information is there. Senator Geller, I don't know if you want to add anything as you chaired the meeting, but
it was a difficult meeting. There
6
were,
hours.
was 6 hours long, and there were at least 2 or 3 people that any of whom I think could easily have done the job. At the end of the day, the vote for the number one choice was fairly overwhelming, but only because if they were not there, I think that at least 2 other companies could have done a very good job. And I guess we're just waiting now for the contract. Are there any additional questions or comments, either live from any of our committee members or from the public? Not seeing any. We are now on to our FRECO Winter Policy Board Forum. I don't believe Councilmember Leonard is present, so did you have any comments?
Well, it's simply that you're going to find there the Regional Councils Association Annual Report for your information. Councilmember Leonard was able to attend. Councilmember Bailey was under the weather that day, could not. But it was a good meeting, and Kevin Guthrie was there, and he gave that excellent presentation. I will say that following that meeting, the directors of the regional councils, we've been having conversations to see how we might be able to assist working between the Division of Emergency Management and local governments to help in the education process, to help local governments increase their score so that they can get reimbursed more quickly. So Councilmember Bailey.
Just quickly for the record, I was out with COVID, and so I know it was virtual, but I couldn't. So
Right. Thank you. And certainly, Ms. Cosio, the Carballo, I don't have to get your name as to what you prefer. The issue again of local government reimbursement is critical. It's mostly FEMA, not FDEM, but hopefully following the guidance, as we heard earlier, we might be able to standardize, because I hear this complaint all the time. Let me ask one quick question. You've heard for years now, my repeated statements that with the legislature having taken away our main responsibility, that we need to be doing more regional planning. Does it ever come up at FRECO, or how do the other regional planning agencies spend their time now that our main issue has been taken away?
Well, thank you for the question. I would respectfully suggest that the regional councils believe that they are doing regional planning. And they do different types of planning depending where they are. So for example, in Tampa Bay, they are also undertaking a military installation resilience review, and they also staff their climate compact, which is based on the Southeast Florida Regional Climate Compact. And there's a presentation, unfortunately, that I could present. It says all the different projects by the regional councils that are all regional planning, and they're different. You know, one is helping a local government accomplish something important. The other thing, Tom and I, over the years, with support of this board, have worked very hard to create opportunities for regional conversations, and we've had quite a few this year, and we'll continue to do so. So,
let's chat about that as to
Yes,
whether
please.
or not a presentation on
Sure.
what the other regional planning councils are doing early on may be helpful.
in fact, I have the presentation from the Regional Councils Association, so I would be happy just to share it with the board so you can see examples of what the regional councils are doing in different parts of the state. And of course, we as your staff, our sole objective is to help our region be successful and to assist in any way we can. So we're always open to suggestions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions or comments on the FRCA board, either from any members here first, if not from any of our members online, and if not from the general public?
No questions online or comments.
All right, we are now on to announcements and attachments. The attendance form is attached. I'd like everybody to review it, particularly Councilmember Cates, should be blank up till now. There's an article there on the Brightline. In reference to our upcoming meetings, again, Ms. Cosio, please coordinate, because again, both this group and the Broward County Water Advisory Board meet on Fridays, and right now they're both scheduled for the same Friday. So just even after we change that, so please.
No, that's fine. I'm happy to coordinate, and I
Great.
will explore opportunities. Maybe if it's important for Broward County to keep that March 18th date, maybe Treasure Coast would be amenable to the next month in April. for
Yeah, or
example.
maybe we can move.
Or
you
the
know,
other way around.
Whichever, just whatever, please work with Dr. Prado.
Absolutely.
Okay, Media Pass Chair Bailey, you recognize, sir.
If you're looking at the screen, it says that we have a lot of comments in the chat. Most of those comments are people who couldn't get it on or were having issues. And so I just wanted, for the record, to say that we did look at those, and those are not pertinent comments to make it for the meeting.
Thank you, Media Pass Chair Bailey. We have completed the agenda prior to a motion for adjournment. Are there any questions, comments, announcements, or anything else that we need to do before we adjourn? Are there any announcements from any or statements from any committee members here? There were no public comments today. Are there any members or anyone else online that has anything to say before I ask for motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn, Mayor Ziotti.
Okay, I'll take that as a no. So motion to adjourn by Mayor Ziotti, seconded by Commissioner Coldiron. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye, show us adjourned.
Aye.
We are adjourned.